This is Trendbible Stories, where every story holds a heartbeat and every heartbeat tells a truth. It was a cold winter morning in New York City. The kind where the wind bites your face and the streets are painted in silver frost. A man named Richard Langford, one of the richest businessmen in the country, sat in the back of his limousine. His company, Langford Enterprises, was known across America for real estate and power. But all the money in the world couldn't buy him what he wanted most: his daughter's smile. Emma Langford, only 8 years old, had been paralyzed from the waist down after a terrible car accident 2 years ago. Once a cheerful, dancing little girl, Emma now sat in her wheelchair silently, staring out her window at a world she could no longer join. Richard had tried everything: therapy, expensive hospitals, music teachers, art instructors, but nothing brought back that spark in Emma's eyes. She barely spoke anymore. Her laughter, once the melody of his mansion, had vanished. That morning, Richard's car slowed near a red light in the downtown district. His driver muttered something about the traffic, but Richard wasn't listening. His eyes caught sight of something unusual outside. On the snowy sidewalk, a boy, barefoot, wearing a torn hoodie, was spinning and moving to music that came from a broken speaker. He was maybe 12 or 13, but his body moved with surprising grace. His rhythm was raw, untrained, yet full of heart. People passed him by, some dropping coins, others ignoring him. But the boy didn't care. He danced like he was born to. Richard stared longer than he intended. Something about the boy reminded him of Emma, of the way she used to twirl in the living room, pretending to be a ballerina. "Stop the car," Richard said suddenly. The driver hesitated. "Sir, we're in a rough part of town." "I said stop," Richard ordered. The limousine pulled over. Richard stepped out, the cold wind cutting through his expensive coat. He walked toward the boy, who was mid-spin, lost in his own rhythm. When the boy noticed him, he froze, embarrassed. "Sorry, sir," he said quickly. I didn't mean to be in the way." Richard studied him. His face was thin, his hands trembling from the cold. "What's your name?" "Liam," the boy answered softly. "Where are your parents, Liam?" The boy lowered his head. "Don't have any. Not anymore." Richard looked at the small cardboard sign beside him. It said, "Dancing for food. Anything helps. Why dance?" Richard asked. Liam smiled faintly. "Because when I dance, I forget how hungry I am. I forget everything bad. And maybe someone else who's sad will forget too for a moment." Richard was quiet for a long time. Then he said something unexpected. "Come with me." Liam's eyes widened. "Sir?" "I want you to meet someone," Richard said. "Get in the car." Back at the Langford mansion, Emma sat in her room looking out at the gray winter sky. When her father entered with a stranger, a homeless boy, she blinked in confusion. "Emma," Richard said gently. "This is Liam. He's a dancer." Liam shifted awkwardly. "Hi," he said with a shy wave. Emma didn't reply. Her gaze drifted toward her motionless legs, then back at the window. Richard frowned. "Liam, maybe you could show her a little dance. Just something cheerful." Liam hesitated. "Here, in front of her?" "Yes," Richard urged. The boy set down his small speaker, pressed play, and began to move. At first, Emma didn't react. Her face was blank, her fingers resting limp on her wheelchair's armrest. But as Liam danced, his feet tapping softly on the marble floor, his body spinning with emotion, something shifted in the air. His movements weren't polished or fancy. They were raw, full of feeling. When the song ended, Liam looked up nervously. Emma's eyes were wet. Richard stared, stunned. It was the first time he'd seen his daughter cry. Not from pain, but from something deeper. "That was beautiful," Emma whispered. Her voice cracked, but her lips curved into a faint smile. Liam smiled back. "Thanks." From that day, Richard hired Liam, not as a performer, but as a companion for Emma. Every afternoon, he came to the mansion to dance, to play music, to talk. Sometimes he'd tell her stories about life on the street, about how he used to dance in the subway stations to make people smile. One day, Liam asked, "Did you ever dance?" Emma shook her head. "I used to, before the accident," he nodded. "Then maybe you can again. Not with your legs, but with your heart." Emma stared at him, puzzled. What do you mean? Liam tapped his chest. You don't need legs to feel the rhythm. Close your eyes. Feel it inside. So she did, and as the music played, Emma raised her arms, moving them gracefully through the air. Her father, watching from the doorway, felt a tear slide down his cheek. For the first time in years, Emma was dancing again, in her own way. Weeks passed. Emma laughed more, spoke more, and even began drawing again. Liam's presence filled the mansion with warmth. But one cold evening, Richard came home and found Liam gone. His small speaker was missing, and so were a few of the snacks from the kitchen. The guards reported that the boy had left early, saying he needed to go back where he belonged. Richard was furious and confused. He ordered his staff to search the nearby streets, but no one could find him. Days turned into weeks. Emma grew quieter again, asking every morning, "Did Liam come back?" Each time Richard had no answer. Then one night, as a snowstorm howled outside, Richard's phone buzzed. It was a call from a hospital downtown. "Are you the guardian of a boy named Liam?" the nurse asked. Richard's heart dropped. "Yes, what happened?" "He was found unconscious near the river. Severe hypothermia. He's stable now, but he keeps asking for a girl named Emma." When Richard arrived at the hospital, Liam was pale, wrapped in blankets, an IV in his arm. "Why did you leave?" Richard asked quietly. Liam looked away. "I didn't belong there, sir. You gave me food, clothes, warmth, but it didn't feel right. I didn't earn it. People like me, we don't fit in mansions." Richard sat beside him. "You don't need to earn kindness, Liam. You've given my daughter something no doctor, no therapist ever could: hope." Tears filled the boy's eyes. "I just wanted her to smile again." "And she did," Richard said softly. "Because of you." At that moment, Emma appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a pink scarf. Her nurse pushed her wheelchair forward. "Liam," she said, her voice trembling, "you promised you'd never stop dancing." Liam smiled weakly. "Guess I broke that promise." "No," she said firmly. "You didn't, because now it's my turn." She reached for her small tablet, pressed play on a soft melody, and began moving her arms again. Slowly, gracefully. Every motion spoke of courage, every breath carried gratitude. Liam watched, tears streaming down his cheeks. "You're amazing," he whispered. "So are you," Emma replied. Liam recovered over the next few weeks, and Richard made a decision that surprised everyone. He adopted Liam. The announcement made headlines. Billionaire adopts homeless boy who helped his paralyzed daughter smile again. But to Richard, it wasn't about publicity. It was about family. He turned part of his company's foundation into a new charity called The Rhythm of Hope, a program that offered free music and dance therapy for children with disabilities and those living on the streets. Liam became its ambassador, teaching kids that dance isn't just movement, it's a way to heal. Emma, still in her wheelchair, often joined him at events, performing alongside him with radiant confidence. Together, they showed the world that hope doesn't need legs to stand tall. It just needs a heartbeat. One sunny afternoon, months later, Richard stood in the park watching the two of them performing for a crowd of children. Emma's laughter filled the air again, bright and pure. Liam spun, leaped, and bowed dramatically, earning applause from everyone around. Then he turned to Emma, and the two exchanged a look of understanding, one that spoke of shared pain, shared healing, and something stronger than either of them had ever known: love that didn't care where you came from. Richard smiled, whispering to himself, "Money can buy comfort, but it can never buy what that boy gave me, a reason to believe again." This is Trendbible Stories, reminding you that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change the richest life forever.